You've seen this person before. A system fails, a crisis hits, an engine starts smoking, and they dive right in, hands moving, fixing the issue before most of us even realize what went wrong. Meanwhile, another person facing the exact same failure freezes in panic. So what actually separates the people who instinctively repair from the people who retreat? A common assumption is that the quick fixers just have a higher general mental ability, that they possess a raw IQ that lets them process the solution faster. But psychological research tells a different story. Cognitive ability helps, sure, but it only accounts for a fraction of how we actually cope with adversity. The true differentiator happens much faster than conscious thought. It's a split-second psychological sorting sequence that categorizes a crisis the moment it strikes, dictating whether you will succeed or fail before you even begin to think. Psychologists call this the cognitive fork. The instant a problem arises, your brain automatically splits your reaction down one of two pathways: a threat or a challenge. If you score high in neuroticism, a personality trait characterized by anxiety and emotional volatility, your brain is hardwired to route incoming problems straight down the threat pathway. This aligns closely with what researcher Carol Dweck calls a fixed mindset. Down this path, every obstacle or failure is perceived as a permanent personal indictment of your own intelligence. Because the brain perceives a genuine threat to its well-being, it triggers avoidance coping mechanisms. Instead of trying to fix the issue, the response is helplessness, despair, and social isolation. For example, look at this digital road sign from Italy during the initial COVID-19 outbreak in 2020. Researchers surveyed university students during this period and found that those who processed the pandemic as a threat to their competence retreated into submission, completely abandoning information-seeking behaviors. Routing a problem as a threat can create a self-limiting cycle of passivity. It takes a temporary, solvable issue and frames it as an insurmountable barrier, often leading to long-term maladjustment. But let's look at the other side. The challenge pathway is heavily driven by two different Big Five personality traits: openness to experience and conscientiousness. There is a catch, though. Studies on creativity show that strict dependability, following all the rules, can actually stifle problem solving. It's the achievement facet of conscientiousness, the raw drive to succeed, that pushes you forward. These traits build the foundation of a growth mindset. Here, problems are viewed as necessary feedback. Effort is understood as the only path to mastery, rather than a sign of weakness. With this mental configuration, you don't panic. You trigger proactive coping. You seek out information, negotiate the crisis parameters, and start directly solving the problem. A challenge orientation provides the mind with the specific cognitive and behavioral tools, like systematic planning and persistence, needed to dismantle a problem directly. While biological traits like neuroticism influence our initial reactions, problem-solving is a structured skill that can be developed through deliberate practice to mitigate those instinctive responses. In 1984, researchers John Bransford and Barry Stein introduced the IDEAL framework as a method to manually steer the brain toward a challenge response. The I stands for identify. Effective solvers don't wait for a crisis to strike. They actively look for friction in everyday life and treat it as an opportunity to improve a broken system. Take a look at this vintage traffic signal. In the late 1800s, William Eno saw massive horse-drawn carriage jams in New York City. Before anyone else recognized it as a structural issue requiring a solution, he proactively identified the problem and invented modern traffic management tools like the stop sign and the pedestrian island. Next are the D and E. Define and explore. This means clarifying your actual goals, questioning your underlying assumptions, and brainstorming solutions by breaking massive, overwhelming problems into smaller, manageable pieces. The final steps are A, anticipate and act, and L, look and learn. You deploy your hypothesized solution, and then you objectively evaluate the real-world outcome, using any failure as feedback for the next attempt. Highly resilient people are not necessarily born with unique cognitive gifts. They use structured frameworks to treat every adversity as a solvable situation they have the tools to manage.